Hey everybody, welcome back to the Mystics of Texas. Once again, we have our good friend Gil joining us, and he is going to enlighten us today with some very fun topics. And in this topic today, we've been talking about the work on the soul. What does that mean? How do we work on ourselves? How do we focus on the things that can help make us better and connect us to the infinite intelligence, the source, the beloved God? How do we do that? And Gil's going to give us some insight into that. So Gil, welcome, and I am glad you're here, and I love you, brother.
I love you too, Kevin, and thank you for having me here. It's an honor.
And what do you think about, or if you can help me understand, when we had our group here a few days ago and we were talking about it, it's important not only just to gather and have those meaningful discussions. You were suggesting that we needed to take it a step further and actually do the work on an individual basis to help us become better and more in tune with ourselves. What exactly did you mean by that?
Well, the divine work, I call it, is the practice. You know, there are many elements that we can talk about and start to bring a new dimension of consciousness into the conversation, and that's extremely important piece of the puzzle that we're putting together. But the puzzle is multifaceted and multidimensional, and to put such a puzzle together can never occur only through a mental inquiry or a conversation or speaking words, even though those are important. But to put such a puzzle together, we have to move inwardly and come into a central point within ourselves where we can begin to converge, where we can begin to breathe and make our heart magnetic enough to bring together the componentry of our fragmented consciousness. And living in the outer and lower realms of vibration, which is where our human lives, we're living in a fragmented, separated, and disconnected componentry. And it is like isolated islands, if you will. And every island is another piece of the puzzle. It's another fragment of our individuated self and our collective self. And to understand the relationship between the individual and the collective is essential. And one can only understand the world to the level that one understands itself. And to know the self is to come to that central area within the self, which is formless. And that formless self, that formless intelligence, is the level of consciousness that is the all-seeing eye. It is the eye that is looking at everything from the core, from the center. Therefore, this is where we're going to find the knowledge, the wisdom, the repository that took all of our experiences and refined them into wisdom. The work is this artistry of moving into the workshop of soul deep within the quantum heart and get busy with the artful and masterful craft of putting that puzzle together. And it is not something that you can just do in one day or in one conversation, not even in a series of conversations. This is requiring an inner conversation, an inner communication, an inner inquisitiveness to sharpen up your drill, to exercise your free will, and to move through the portal of the heart and begin to learn from your own formless intelligence.
How does one go about starting that practice to communicate and learn from yourself?
Everyone has an angle. Everyone has a certain appeal. Everyone has an attraction point. So it is actually very personal and very intimate. It depends on the individual and where they're at this point. But I would recommend, I can make some recommendations that hold universal codes, if you will, that can apply to all of us. For example, one of them is to shift the center of gravity from the head, the mind, which is where mostly humans operate from, into the heart. And even to start with, just physically shift the focus into that region of the body where the heart is pumping and pulsating. But then to begin to develop an inner gaze that can begin to feel and sense the electromagnetic field of the heart that the heart emanates. From that level of attunement, we can begin to sense the portal. And if you feel your local environment, and if you feel your heart and how it emanates and radiates a field of energy, an electromagnetic field. And by the way, scientists today are already discovering that the electromagnetic field that the heart emanates is by far more potent and powerful electromagnetically than the field that the brain emanates, for example, or the mind. That must say something about that heart. The heart is the hub. The heart is the core. It's actually another word for core, for center. If you want to understand anything, whatever it is, whether it is a person or an animal or a system or a thing, you must go to its heart, you must go to its core. Because from that core is where the rest of that organism was springing from and developing. This is also the core that nurtures its system, its peripheries, with life force and energy. Just like the physical heart is pumping blood and therefore oxygen to the brain and from there to the entire body and enlivening it in that way, so as the energetic heart does it energetically, and so as the consciousness heart does it when it comes to essence and consciousness. If you just contemplate that and begin to breathe into that and center yourself in that, that would be a good start to open that portal.
That is just wonderful to listen to you describe it in such a way, because I think for many people that are joining us now, and for me being able to visit with you over this time that we've had together, and hopefully a lot more time, that your words and how you express them are very meaningful, and they resonate and they sit with me personally. And I think that is something that I hope everyone that's joining us today also gets that too, because whenever we begin to think of the mind and the heart, well, I don't think we begin, we've come to believe that the mind and heart are completely separate, and I don't think they're fully separate, but I think everything dwells in that core. And I know that whenever I'm having a difficult time communicating with someone, I do my best to take a step back and think, am I talking to them with my mind, or am I talking to them with my heart? Because whenever I begin to express or change the dynamic to say, hey mind, you're going at this at an intellectual angle, or some way that my mind is constructing a sentence, instead of just letting it flow, out of my heart with genuine empathy and care and love for the person that I'm communicating with, it makes all the difference. At least it has for me, and I'm sure that I know that whenever I see you, my mind is, I'm not speaking from my mind. I feel a connection, like there's this invisible tether, if you will, between us when we're visiting. And to do that with other people you care about or want to get to know is extremely valuable, and I appreciate you giving that advice and that first step to our listeners. And if y'all enjoyed that, please come back and see us. Gil's going to be with us for as long as I can keep him here and tie him down. I got a chain on his leg now so he can't move, and I'm really excited about it. Well, you can find us everywhere on Rumble, BitChute, Odyssey, of course, YouTube. Thank you for joining us. We'll see you next time.